Welcome back to Disney Coffee and Book Talk. We will be continuing our Sunday series. Today you're actually going to get 2 videos because I'm going to do an Easter egg video as well. I just realized that, but I want to continue the process of deep diving into annotation and talking about things. And I realized we didn't finish Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. We have one more chapter. So that is what we're going to be discussing. Updates on what is happening in the Harry Potter world. So I believe we had previously, maybe we didn't, but maybe not here, I should say. Yes, J.K. Rowling was mentioned in the Epstein list. I do know that. I did talk about it on my TikTok. I want to preface this by saying, you guys know that I used to have a huge love for J.K. Rowling when I was a kid. I grew up with these books since it came out, and I've recognized that she's bigoted in many ways. It's hard for me to enjoy anything Harry Potter since then, right? Because all I can think of is her using the money that she's getting to go against human rights, especially towards the trans community. And I really don't like that. Okay, I know not everyone agrees, but that is my stance. So yeah, I don't enjoy these books. Let me just say that. I do enjoy annotating, but I don't enjoy the actual book per se or any of the content in that manner. Not the way that I used to as a kid. Like, I was a Potterhead, okay? So hear me out. Anyway, other news in terms of Harry Potter is HBO hold on. The trailer came out for Finding Harry, The Crafts Behind the Magic on HBO Max. John Lithgow, who I guess now plays the new Dumbledore, says, this is according to The Hollywood Reporter, that J.K. Rowling's trans views have been misrepresented. I'm sorry, bull fucking shit. Bull fucking shit. And this is exactly why I have an issue with those who already know her stance. It has been her stance. She has given to organizations to stop trans rights, basic human rights. Trans people, the trans community just want to feel normal, right? They feel like, and I can't speak for everyone. Let me just preface this. This is just from my understanding, is that they feel like their outside body doesn't match what's in their head. And science actually kind of proves it, as well as the hormone levels from my research, from my talking to, my friends in the trans community. This is what I've understood, is that it's all about just feeling like they're coming into themselves. That's it. The same way that you and I, may want to change our hair, right? Or change our clothes, or, like if you guys know my story, I'm going through surgeries. It's the same way that, I got weight loss surgery, right? Or I'm going to get skin removal surgery eventually. Same way that, plenty of women get breast augmentations or BBLs or what, you know what I'm saying? Like, they just want to feel like themselves. They want to feel like the inside of them matches the outside. That is all, okay? But she's been completely against this for ages. I'm not sorry about talking about this, especially when it comes to us annotating her books. Because as I've said in all of my other videos, that her views will bleed into the books. So anyway, this is why I have an issue with with anyone who is willing to support her in terms of her new projects. And yes, Harry Potter's been around a while, but they did this whole new HBO Max series. I'm gonna be honest, I don't want to watch it for those reasons, and part of me does, only so that we can do compare and contrast. Doesn't mean I'm gonna enjoy it like at all. However, when you have actors like this, a grown man who's playing Albus Dumbledore, someone who is supposed to be all-knowing and loving and inclusive and blah blah blah, but you're telling us that this woman, I know that's the character, this author has their views misrepresented. I'm sorry, when her money is literally going to organizations that go against human rights for trans community, that's not misrepresentation. So fuck that bullshit. I'm not gonna swear, literally I'm gonna curse, okay? Now as far as the kids playing, you know, young Harry Potter and in terms of the kids, right? I don't necessarily blame the kids. Yes, they are likely old enough to kind of understand a little bit. I mean, they're probably a little bit younger than my son, who's 13 now, but it's ultimately up to their parents. So that is where that lies, okay? But you have grown adults like John Lithgow, whatever his name is. I don't even care if I'm mispronouncing it, Lithgow, who, again, a grown fucking man playing Albus Dumbledore, telling us that, oh, J.K. Rowling's trans views have been misrepresented. And it says, the Dumbledore actor says Rowling's views have been twisted and misrepresented, and the author has doubled down at her own cost. You just contradicted yourself there. So, again, miss me with that bullshit. The fuck? Okay. Now, that being said, I did see a post not too long ago of Tom Felton, who I was formerly email buddies with, okay, long time ago. I know that he still supports her, which, frustrates me. But he did do something nice, and he did send the kid who now plays his character a nice little message. And I thought that was sweet. Okay, cool. I think, like I said, that part is sweet, but you still are... you're still supporting a woman who is anti-trans. She's a TERF, okay? I'm not gonna hold off on saying what I need to say. Now, we do know that J.K. Rowling does not get along with Emma Watson, Daniel Radcliffe, and Rupert Grint, although they were the original three. These three have actually stood firm and said, fuck no, we stand tall with our rights, and we don't like what's going on. And so JK hates them. Now, granted, they got their... well, Rupert did not get his start with her, but he got his bigger role from her. I will say that. He was in The Burrowers before Harry Potter. But the point is that, yes, you can recognize that you got your role from that, and doesn't mean that you have to support it, right? It doesn't make the original Harry Potter series, in terms of their acting, any less, right? They were kids. We were kids. My generation were kids. I was in first or second grade when the books came out, okay? Like, I remember reading it with my teacher, and then my parents. So, like, there's just, it's just frustrating. Anyway, we're gonna get now into the actual chapter, the last chapter, which is Dobby's, what is it? Dobby's Return. Last chapter of, I literally just read it and I already forgot what the name is. My God. Dobby's Reward. That's what it is. Not Dobby's Return. Okay, Dobby's Reward. So in this chapter, we have, they are now down in the chamber. Harry has fought off the basilisk. We know that Tom Riddle was Voldemort. He was writing through the diary, which we know that Lucius Malfoy gave him. So are we seeing the link here? Lucius Malfoy, we know, is a Death Eater. He works for Voldemort, aka Tom Riddle, which is called, I forgot what the name is. Is it an anagram or a soliloquy? Yes, Tom Marvolo Riddle is an anagram for I am Voldemort. That's what it's called, an anagram. So meaning they mix up the same phrase, the letters are just mixed up, which is actually kind of clever. But that being said, so they didn't know what Voldemort's true name was. But the reason that, and I don't remember reading this or even hearing this in the movie, like back when, you know, we were kids. But listening to it now, right, just now, Dumbledore had said something to Harry when they got down there. He was like, the reason that you can talk to Basilisk isn't because you are meant to be in Slytherin, and you weren't meant to be in Slytherin because you're evil like him. It's because he put a part of himself in you, aka the Horcrux, which we find out later in the series. So foreshadowing for the future. We also have the hat, the Sorting Hat. We have Fox, right? Fox comes up several times within the series. And we have Godric Gryffindor's sword. Again, Horcrux, right? How do we kill the diary? The diary is a Horcrux. We're killing parts of Voldemort, right? Little by little by little. So again, foreshadowing. We also have, because the whole chapter's name is Dobby's Reward, Dobby ends up getting a Harry's dirty sock because Harry put the diary into the dirty sock, gave it to Lucius Malfoy. Lucius Malfoy takes the diary out, throws the sock. Dobby catches it, and he goes, "I'm free. I got a sock." Lucius Malfoy is like, "The fuck?" Okay, I'm sorry. Not like that, but you know. He's like, "You cost me my slave." Slave, hello. The wizarding world sees house elves, right? They're elves, sees them as less than, right? They see goblins as less than. They see all these creatures as less than. Again, foreshadowing for the future when Hermione is going to talk about all this, right? The history of house elves and what they serve and so forth, right? And how Dobby is like trying to give Harry these hints but can't really say anything because technically he's bound to his owner, right? Now he's free. We also know that Lucius was trying to get rid of Dumbledore and Hagrid, knowing that they knew stuff, right? Again, important. But he couldn't do it. They're too powerful. Like, they're too important, and they fought through it. Well, Dumbledore did. Hagrid's like a funny side character, like that funny protective uncle, in my opinion. But we know that Hagrid is still a very important person to Dumbledore and Harry, right? And so all these things are gonna come around into the end of this series. So again, it's just more foreshadowing for the future, which I think is important. But again, when we're talking about that bigotry, right? House elf. Lucius calling him a slave. Lucius using Ginny, right? Who is, although she is what they call purebred, she's seen as less than because her family, the Weasleys, interact with Muggles. Remember earlier in the book, they called Hermione a slur, right? So we have to remember all these things. They want to be pure. They want only wizarding families. I hope you guys are seeing that there is foreshadowing, right? There is, not foreshadowing, overlapping themes to World War II. Lucius, Voldemort being the Nazis, the Death Eaters being the Nazis. These two are like, Adolf Hitler and his generals, etc. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Right? And then we have the resistance. We have the people that are fighting. They're going to use anyone possible. They're going to use kids. They're absolutely going to use kids. Kids bully. Right? We know this. We know kids bully. And so they're using this. Like, I remember when my son was 4. Okay, hear me out. God, that was so long ago. Was he 4 or 5? Anyway, this was when, maybe he was 3. It was when Trump first got elected. Okay. And I remember him taking to the playground that day. It was, election day that year. Went to vote, took him to the playground. We're having fun. And I remember these 2 slightly older kids, not much older, but just a little bit older. We're talking about how bad Obama was, and like, I'm like trying to remember the exact words because it's been a while, but they were just saying some pretty awful things, and obviously they're getting it from their parents. But it's like, you guys understand that hate trickles down. It tends to trickle down. Our kids learn it from us, right? From the parents, from those that are surrounding. So like, it's, God, it's so frustrating. So I wouldn't say his father is a Trumper, but he's definitely more Republican leaning. And I have to combat that as mom, right? Let me just say I'm a single parent, but I have to combat that as a mom. Like, hey, we're not going to do that. Hey, we're not going to throw hate. Hey, we're going to be inclusive. So when we talk about trans rights, when we talk about, rights of other people, we're talking about, he's 13 now, but we're talking about wars and the ICE agents and all this. And I do go back in history. Let me say that. We talk about slavery and colonization and all that. And I just try to explain to him, like, we don't have to hate, right? We don't have to like what they think. We don't have to like what they do. Okay? We can combat that. But combating it with hate is not necessarily the best thing, right? Let me rephrase that. I hate bigots. Yes. I hate bigoted thoughts. Absolutely. I'm not going to go then do exactly what they're going to do. Does that make sense? Because I've seen people do that where they're like in an argument and then all of a sudden they use like whatever they are, whether they're a trans person, LGBTQ, Latino, Latinx, whatever, Asian, it doesn't matter what they are, right? I've seen people use whoever they're fighting, their ethnicity, their religion, their nationality, whatever they can figure out, and then they use some sort of bigotry to fight against it. And I'm just like, that defeats the entire fucking purpose. Like, that's not gonna work. You're just showing that you're just like them, right? Why are we doing that? To me, it doesn't make sense, right? That's just my thoughts. Anyway, so that is the end of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I will have more Sunday. Every Sunday I'll post, annotation, whether it's a chapter or a book. We're going to continue on. I have no idea what I'm doing next week. I will be quite honest with you. We will probably continue on with Harry Potter, but I do, again, have other books that I want to do. I'm so sorry. I took a very long break. It's been something. But I do have other books. I will get back to the Easter eggs as well. So if you haven't already, give me a like. Tell me what your thoughts are. Follow along, subscribe, hit that bell button, and you'll be notified when I post. And I will see you guys later for an Easter egg video. All right. Love you.